Batteries, they have come a really long way, and they are our only energy storage solutions as of now, which we can rely on eyes closed. But at the same time, these batteries are pretty dumb. All that happens in a battery are a bunch of chemical reactions and nothing else. And that's alone not enough to control all the properties of the battery. And for running EVs, control is everything. So that's where the BMS comes in. BMS stands for Battery Management Systems, and you can call it a brain of the battery. All this will make sense by the end of the video. So this is Pawan and I am Systech. Let's get started. My electric scooter has it, this electric car has it, this electric skateboard has it. So it's such a crucial component. Let's see what the battery management system actually does then. So its main functions would be to control voltages in and out of the battery pack, cell balancing, charge and discharge control, battery health monitoring and other protection protocols, and finally to control the battery temperatures. So these are all the basic functions that a BMS is able to perform. More like a human brain, it tries to keep the battery working at its optimal performance levels at all the times using a few algorithms. So if you look at the schematic of a battery management system, it looks something like this. There is a battery pack with its cells inside connected in series and parallel according to what type of battery configuration it is. Then there is the load given at the output. In case of electric powertrains and electric motor, we have other essential electronics such as a capacitor resistor network, the MCU, a power cutoff switch, which are usually high-speed switching transistors like FETs. Let's talk about the main functions of the BMS in short detail in a way that I don't keep this video running for too long. So firstly, the battery is made up of several smaller cells connected in series/parallel connections in a way that you get total finite voltage. And the BMS keeps track of the total voltage and the current coming out of this battery and going inside this battery if there is regenerative braking. And the BMS also keeps track of individual cells present inside the battery so that there are no abnormal voltages showing up. You'll know why the cell voltages are measured in real time when I start talking about SOCs and battery health. How do you think you're able to look at the accurate battery percentage levels on your EV's dashboard, or call it technically the SOC, state of charge? That's because your battery is continuously monitoring the voltage across the whole battery pack in real time. Hence, if your battery is charged to 100%, then the voltage across it will be its total voltage capacity. And if it is drained to 0%, then the battery is at its lowest possible voltage level. Usually the BMS doesn't allow the battery to drain as badly to 0 because that is really bad for the battery health in the long term. And here is how an average lithium-ion battery discharge curve looks like. The curve keeps on dipping down gradually, and at the end, for a little bit more time, it dips by a strong steep. Here, this should give a pretty good picture. Exactly half of that curve points out 50% of the energy is left in the battery. And looking at this curve, it should be pretty obvious why our EVs perform at its full tilt when it's at 100% energy compared to say 20% energy. The BMS also monitors the health of the battery and the health of each and individual cell in the battery to tell you how exactly your battery is performing. Battery health here is defined as the ratio of maximum battery charge to its rated capacity. That means it tells you how much more capacity is left out in your battery to use up until your battery completely runs out of capacity and it's time to scrap it. One of the most important features of the BMS is cell balancing. So care should be taken while charging and discharging the cells in the battery to avoid the risk of overcharging or undercharging them, because if this is done consistently over time, it might damage the battery, or these unbalanced voltages can lead to you not being able to use the battery at its full capacity. So cell balancing happens here. For instance, if one cell is charged to its max and the next cell is half charged, the first cell sends some of its voltage to the next cell to equalize the charge in them. Or in some cells, bypass resistors are used to get rid of excess voltage in the form of heat across the resistors. This usually happens with the help of capacitors and resistors connected across every cell. This also is true while discharging, but it's inverse of it. We need to make sure the cells don't over discharge and keep that balance going on in all cases. The BMS also has to protect the battery from any sort of avoidable damage, and one such things can be abnormal rises or dips in temperatures. Like I mentioned before, if any of the cells in the battery is subjected to overcharging, then there is a chance of high temperatures, which is of course a fire hazard. If any of the cell in the battery pack catches fire, then it can light the rest of the cells on fire and the battery pack will be destroyed in seconds. Then lower temperatures are also not good for the overall health of the battery, because when it's cold, the chemical reactions in the battery are happening at a considerably slower pace, which does not make sure that the battery works at its full potential. So the BMS comes with its own temperature sensors, and it tries to maintain the battery temperatures under and above a certain threshold. If unfortunately the battery is malfunctioning out of control, the BMS has a main switch which disconnects the battery from the rest of the components for safe isolation. Yeah, so now you have an idea on why these systems are very important to maintain a well-performing battery pack in an EV, or else you would just see exploding electric vehicles everywhere. Anyways, this was a short overview on the battery management system, and if you want to know more about the algorithms used in these systems, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try to make a detailed video on that too. So this was the beauty of the BMS. As always, this is Pawan signing out.